Good evening. Welcome to this campaign, social media campaign for solidarity with domestic violence survivors. It's part of the class assignment for social advocacy, in social work. You are most welcome to listen to this campaign. Beyond Knowledge Horizon is a rural CBO based in Kenya in Africa, East Africa. Being in a rural location, domestic violence survivors have nowhere to go. They experience a lot of difficulties, and they usually come to us for support. And in this campaign, Beyond Knowledge Horizon is going to carry out a campaign to educate the Kenyan community on the need to handle domestic violence survivors' stories in safe, secure, and confidential spaces to facilitate healing, reduce stigmatization, re-traumatization, or exposure to the abuser. It will work in solidarity with the domestic violence survivors. The rural domestic violence survivors fear to go to other platforms because they expose the identity of the survivors. The purpose of this hashtag is to create a safe, confidential space for domestic violence survivors. The available YouTube platforms for domestic violence survivors are like reality show performance where the survivor is not protected from the abuser. The spaces are also not conducive to healing because they expose the survivor to the community's judgment. There is also possibility of the survivor being re-traumatized because of narrating their story in a space that is not safe, confidential, and secure. So the goals of this campaign is to educate the Kenyan community on the need to offer domestic violence survivors support, especially in offering them safe and confidential spaces to heal, not reality TV shows. It also involves destigmatization of domestic violence survivors who have decided to leave abusive relationships. Action. The action for this hashtag is to change the narrative about domestic violence, especially for those who decide to leave. We shall cease to address the question, why did she not leave? Instead, ask the question, how can we support the domestic violence survivors today by providing them with exit ramps such as hotlines to call when in danger, codes to use when they are in danger in the case of abuse, safety tips such as not hiding in the kitchen where there are knives that can be used in abuse, or hiding in bathrooms which have no exit. Offering exit ramps and empowerment through a change in narrative is different from a reality TV program. Strategies. Members of the Beyond Horizon CBO will wear color purple t-shirts every Thursday, like the one I'm wearing, with writings on the back. The writing on the back would be identify coercive control to end domestic violence. This is because domestic violence begins with coercive control, where the abuser attempts to control the actions of the survivor. Every movement is monitored. Every expenditure on the budget is monitored. Any person they interact with is monitored. Therefore, we shall propose the end of coercive control. And on the front, we shall write, stop economic abuse. Economic abuse is where the survivor is held hostage because she has no money for rent, she has no money for treatment, she has no money for clothing, and she has no money for food. Therefore, she is forced to remain in the abusive relationship. The other thing we shall do, the other strategy we shall use is to hang banners on matatu bus stops. Matatus are the vans used for transport in rural and urban Kenya, in police stations and chief camps, courts, billboards, and marketplaces where most of the women visit. The messages will be: end domestic violence by identifying coercive control, and 2, empower women economically to end domestic violence. The other strategy will involve book or air a program on the national TV on trauma storytelling, where we shall use pseudonyms and composite narratives to prevent abusers recognizing specific details of the survivor, to avoid stigmatization and contribute to healing. So, in summary, our objective, our hashtag, Purple Campaign and solidarity with domestic violence survivors, aims to offer safe, secure spaces for domestic violence in the online media, and also educate the community to change the narrative about domestic violence survivors, and also empower the domestic violence survivors themselves by providing information about domestic violence and what exit terms they should use. Therefore, we shall aim at educating the entire community and the survivors, and plead that the survivor stories should not be aired in reality TV or video shows. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm Mary Kinyanjui. Let's end domestic violence together.